Hey y'all. Okay, just a few minutes, but hey, she's already written probably about 2 or 3 poems since then. So I guess that's what I was worried about. So I was gonna say this really fast. Let me look at this. Okay. Um. Okay. So yeah, let me explain this really fast. So maybe it can kind of show more about whatever. Okay. Um, so I've shared before that my mom taught my little girl how to read when she was 3. She started writing real good stories about 5. Um, now they're now it's kind of obvious to us like what's happening because it's kind of right in front of our face. So one time it was actually just my dad and my daughter and I. And we were, going out to eat or whatever. But she had mentioned something in the car, and I'm not sure exactly what all had happened before that or not or whatever. But she was talking about the teachers not letting them use the restroom or something. And then I was like, huh? And then so when we were eating, and then she was talking more about it, and that was like an example of how he was sitting right there when she's talking about it. And so I was like, well, and then so I was like, well, this is weird. It's like because I'm thinking that someone had called when that had happened or something, and then from then on, um, all this other stuff happened. So I realized that I needed to tell my little girl, look, I think I realized part of the problem here is the fact that the other adults aren't realizing that you're being mistreated here, you know, and and I think it even took my daughter a minute to tell me about what the other principal had done. And I put that extra stuff. And so I think one of the last few videos, most everything I had already gone over. I always will try to add to these things or whatever, which is very, very weird because it's right in front of our face, and especially with my little girl. And it's like I feel like I could sit here and say they treated my son. I feel like they treated my son even better than they did my daughter, but it's a different school. So this it's just really weird. So which kind of goes on to something I was thinking about. They're like women that have gone to prison here and gotten pregnant. You know, and I almost feel like somehow everybody's mind is just so weird or not weird. I'm not trying to be mean, but I guess what I'm saying is if you were to talk to somebody about it, for some reason I feel like people automatically like labeled a word on the woman, and I had forgotten about this, but it's been all over the place. I think just a few years ago too, and I was like, oh wow, so now this is happening. I mean, in the prisons. And then, so anyway, so I'm just saying that I feel like sometimes people just automatically put a name on women. And then, okay, so I'm just going to end it with this. But actually, it was kind of snowing. I forgot I was going to mention that. It was like snowing just for a minute earlier here. Anyways, and something else happened funny. But, anyways, I'll get to that later or something. But, man, what was I going to say? Okay, yes. And I don't really know why I'm getting so frustrated and mad with my dad because in so many ways, I almost feel like he doesn't deserve it. But I guess, like, just to explain this, like, I guess I got kind of, like, frustrated and, like, I, like, told him, I was like, I was like, Dad, it says in the Bible to help the widows and the children. And I was like, well, I'm not a widow. I was like, but still, they do nothing. And so for me to know and see how, you know, everything, whatever. And I even mentioned something to someone not too long ago and said, I know that you don't want to do the godly thing. But then, of course, whatever. But just to mention that. Anyway, so I'm sure there was other things I was going to cover because I got to get more time or whatnot. But, and then I guess after I go to the other thing, then, uh, I guess that some of the things will be more clear. Yeah, I might have another minute to say this. So, to also go with this, like I told my dad, I said, Dad, so isn't it obvious that didn't mind her getting counseling because she's done it before? So I was like, it's the fact is what's transpired and what's happened or whatever. And when she was about 9 years old, I think she was 9, maybe 10. She was like, Mama, I might talk to someone and talk to a counselor, but someone's above them. And if they're taking notes, something about like this. If they're taking notes, I mean, she's like, I don't really know if their boss or who is above them is a good person or not. And then, like I said, I try not to say anything like around her, so that's why I'm like, wow. So, anyways, so just to explain that just a little bit more, so y'all can kind of see, like, she does good in the things that her big brother had problems with. So, all right. Well, I'll see y'all soon. God bless.